We are now in Module 6 of Tawani's discussion of commerce and free speech in cyberspace and their regulation by law. And we are in aspect 4, in which we discuss the second part of that module, free speech in cyberspace. Specifically, we'll zero in on pornography, and we will make a distinction between child pornography and virtual child pornography, among other distinctions that we will make. With regard to free speech, it is a fundamental right to exercise it, usually in order to bring about some public good in liberal democracies such as our own. It is hard to see how something like pornography brings about a public good of this kind. But regardless of the moral status of pornography, which we don't really have time to discuss in our class, it is something that can be easily controlled in the physical space, but it is something that practically cannot be controlled in the cyberspace. In the physical space, you just allocate it to certain stores and at certain places and times, and not to other stores and places and times. But on the web, anybody can access pornography at any point. Uh, Cyberspace is public space, and pornography becomes part of public space once it is on the web. What is clear, however, is that child pornography is uncontroversially objectionable on moral grounds, both in physical and virtual space, and it is outlawed. There are two issues for laws with regard to child pornography. The first is the familiar issue of the streamers, often enough being abroad beyond the reach of the US or any domestic laws of any country, for that matter. The second issue is that it is hard to distinguish virtual child pornography, in which adult actors or even computer-generated images play or represent underage characters. So it's hard to distinguish virtual child pornography and its moral status from the status of actual child pornography. Defenders of virtual child pornography argue that children are not harmed in the making of it at all. But is it the case that they're not? Do children not suffer from the culture and adults cultivating attitudes that reinforce permissibility of treating human beings in ways that they cannot consent to? Even if only presumably in the imagination, not actions of the adults and the culture. But does what is in our imagination have no bearing at all on the kind of persons we are and how we act?